in office, Jessica.
Yeah, much more to come. Kevin Liptak at the White House, thanks so much. And we are joined now by CNN senior political commentator Scott Jennings and Democratic strategist Chuck Rocha. Let's start with the Epstein drama. Scott, I want to start first with you. Why is this story sticking so much?
Well, first of all, people in the president's base did have a lot of questions about it. And they still have those questions. And so this story was floating around out there, not by the president. I think it's been overstated, actually, how much he personally actually talked about it on the campaign. But certainly it's true that a lot of people around him and that supported him wanted more information about it. And so you've got that group of people that continue to agitate for it. And then you have Democrats coming along who didn't care about this until 5 minutes ago, and now they're piling on to it. And so, you know, the swirl of all that is keeping it in the news, and it's vexed the president a little bit because I think he's had an amazing 6 months. I think he's got a lot of accomplishments, and I'm sure he's frustrated that all anybody wants to talk about is Epstein instead of all the things that he's done to fulfill campaign promises. So we'll see what they do in the coming days. The president asked the grand jury materials to be released. He's also told the attorney general if there are credible documents that can be released, those should also be released. So we'll see how quickly those things get resolved.
Yeah, listen, the president's been very open that he would like this to all move on. And yet, Chuck, we have this new CNN poll that was out this week that half of Americans are not satisfied with the amount of information the federal government released on the Epstein case. What do you think about this whole kind of where we are? I mean, as Scott notes, you have the MAGA base who has been promised, frankly, by a lot of people very close to the president for a lot of transparency on this, including Kash Patel and Pam Bondi. And then you have Democrats who are also starting to jump on this as well.
This is a classic, the dog who finally caught the car, because that's all the Republicans, not all about Trump. He's talked about it some, but their entire base has been fixated on this. And I know we're going to talk about the midterm elections. I know we're going to talk about issues and the latest CNN polling. But let me tell you something as an election expert, is that the midterms are about motivation. Every midterm election, I've been doing this for 30-some years. I'm trying to figure out how to motivate Democrats and Republicans are trying to figure out how to motivate Democrats. This is not good for motivation for their base. You add on to this giving weapons to Ukraine, which I support, but their base does not, and other things that they feel disappointed in with our own CNN polling. Then you start seeing cracks in the fissure for motivation for a midterm.
Okay, we are going to get to midterms, but Scott, I know you want to answer to that, so go ahead.
Yeah, look, I agree with the part of what Chuck said. Midterms are about base motivation. He's completely right about that. And right now, Democrats, you know, and Republicans have sort of flipped in terms of who's got the more committed voters, or frequent voters, I should say. But in terms of what the base is doing with Donald Trump right now, they support him on Iran. It's not true. They do support him on Ukraine, because what he's done is he's put NATO in the middle of this, and it's not U.S. tax dollars, it's European countries. The base is with Donald Trump. In fact, it is true. His numbers among Republicans continue to rise. They couldn't go up much higher because they're so good already. But the base is with Trump. Regardless of whatever is roiling or, you know, boiling in the political seas out there, you can't deny his numbers among his voters, his Republican voters, are higher than they've ever been.
I want to follow up one more thing on the Epstein piece of this, which is Trump now suing the Wall Street Journal, Rupert Murdoch, the reporters. Scott, is there concern? Do you have any concerns? Do those around him have any concern that by doing this, he does open himself up to a deposition potentially, to discovery? Like, why? I guess is my question.
Well, look, he maintains that he didn't do it, that this is not authentic. And as far as I know, the Wall Street Journal hasn't produced it yet. I wasn't there. I don't know what the truth is. But the president has been pretty adamant that this is not his words, that he didn't type this thing out, and that this is kind of a made-up piece here to try to get at him in the midst of this thing, you know, blowing up in the media. So, you know, I suspect if the president didn't feel strongly about the fact that he believes this didn't happen, he would not have pulled the trigger on a lawsuit. So I guess we'll see how it develops, and if the documents in question ever actually materialize.
Yeah. But, like, Chuck, at some point, like, you have to think clearly, as Scott's saying, Donald Trump feels strongly enough and feels